We have finally reached 15,000 subscribers, and that is a big thanks to all of you, my subscribers, over the years for subscribing to the channel and doing your part to help the channel grow to this point. So thank you very much to each and every one of you for taking the time to subscribe to the channel. I don't know what brought you to the channel, whether it was one of my rants, idea videos, thought videos, playing Red Dead Online, Mafia, GTA, or something else entirely. No matter what the case is, I'm grateful to have every one of you part of the channel as we continue to go forward into what's left of 2022 and hopefully 2023. By the way, that's my question for you all, because I'm going to do a little reverse Q&A in the comment section. Is what brought you to the channel? What was that video? What was that game? Was it content? Was it a live stream? I'm curious to know what brought you to the channel. Feel free and let me know below in the comment section. So as promised a while back when I said I'd reach 15,000 subscribers, we do a Q&A, and I'm keeping my word, which is something I always try to do. I gave you all an opportunity to submit questions via the socials, Twitter, Facebook, as well as the YouTube community page, and of course Discord. And I think we have a few questions to go over today. So once again, thank you to everybody that took the time to submit a question for Q&A. I will do my best to answer these questions. And let's get started, shall we? First off, we got Brandon Ivo. Yes, we're going in alphabetical order, aka Bob the Builder, or Bermuda Bob as we like to call him now. Congrats on 15K. My question is more of a general wondering that I've had for a while. I noticed that you didn't have a bunker on your PlayStation character, but if I remember correctly, I think you have one on Xbox. You're correct, by the way, Bob. Is it because you couldn't afford one on PS4? Yeah, I can afford one. When they released, or just couldn't be bothered to get one. Okay, so here's a funny thing, and I replied to this question specifically because I intended on actually buying a bunker for my PS5 character Wolfenstein now, and it was on sale, and I just forgot to jump back into GTA Online Wednesday. Well, this was not this past Wednesday, but the Wednesday before when bunkers were on sale. Riley, my fiance, she's also a content creator, was telling me to go do it. And I was intending on buying a bunker while it was on sale, but I just plumb forgot, Bob. And you're right. I do have a bunker for my Xbox character, Janine. She has one, but Wolfenstein does not. I guess I'll just wait till the bunker goes back on sale. I do have enough money on GTA Online. I'm just cheap and was just waiting for a sale. Moving on to Brian Martinez. Congrats on 15K. My question to you is like a movie or song from the actor, actress, or singer that you're not a fan of. For me, that's in Minority Report. I saw it on TV first time. Not the biggest fan of Tom Cruise, but he was amazing in that film. His performance made me sad for his character because that one scene from the film that made me sad and cry. I'm not going to spoil it. I'm sorry for the bad grammar. Wish you and Riley a wonderful day. Congrats on 15K. And thank you very much, Brian, for the congratulations. And for everyone, by the way, that wished me congrats through the various socials. That does mean a lot to me. So a singer, actress, or actor that I don't really like, but I actually happen to like something that they were part of. That is a tough one. So after drinking a few sips of my coffee while I'm recording the Q&A, I decided just to go with Brie Larson. I don't really like some of the things she said over the years, but everyone has a right to their opinion, including Brie Larson. It's kind of turned me off to her as an actress. I'm sure some people love her, some people don't like her. I have nothing really against her, but I just think that sometimes actors and actresses say things just to be, I don't know, edgy, or just to tick off a certain portion of potential fan bases, and they only make a bad situation worse. However, I will say this. I thought she was pretty good as the character she played in Community. Was it Community that she was in? I think she played like some nerdy chick in Community. I thought Brie Larson did a good job in that role. Thanks for the question, Brian, as we move on to Kane. Congrats on 15K, GB. My question is this. What's your favorite Batman story? It can be film, game, comic, etc. Again, congrats on 15K. here's to 20K. And if I ever reach 20K, then I guess that's when we'll do the next Q&A. All right, so obviously I'm a big Batman fan. I've been one since I was a kid, watching the Batman animated series, as well as Tim Burton's original Batman movies, Batman and Batman Returns. And whenever I would spend time in the summer or winter break visiting my papa and granny, my granny would often have me watching Adam West Batman reruns from the 60s. She even made me some Batman capes because she used to sew a lot. I wish I still had those capes, but unfortunately I do not. But to answer your question, that's hard because I like a lot of Batman stories. Like, I guess you could see my favorite live-action Batman movie is Batman Begins, followed closely by The Dark Knight. I feel like those two stories go well together because they involve Christopher Nolan as the director, along with most of the same actors. Like Christian Bale as Bruce Wayne Batman. You have Morgan Freeman as Lucius Fox, Michael Caine as Alfred, Gary Oldman as Commissioner Gordon. Plus, you had some other great actors as well. Liam Neeson in the first movie. And then in the second movie, you had the late Heath Ledger in the iconic role of Joker. Game-wise, I'd probably go with Batman Arkham City. There's a lot of emotion there to the journey that Batman's going through. And I'm not going to spoil that, even though Arkham City's been out for a while now. I feel like the ending of Batman Arkham City is very touching, and it shows what kind of person Bruce is. Even against Batman's worst villains, yeah, he wants to bring them to justice and stop them from continuing to wreak havoc and crime and destruction and death throughout Gotham. But there's also part of Batman that wants to save them as well. Anime movie-wise, I would say Mask of the Phantasm is fantastic. It shows early days of Bruce wanting to become some sort of symbol for vengeance, and the mourning phase he's going through, still having to deal with the loss of his parents when he was a kid, and how he's trying to make them proud, and he feels like he's struggling with it. It also has a romantic arc to it, and the possibility that maybe Bruce doesn't have to be alone, that he could finally find somebody and settle down and have a family of his own. And unfortunately, it doesn't end up going that way, and so he ultimately has to go down the path of the Batman no matter what. But in a lot of these stories, it does show the bonds between Bruce and people that are closest to him. Like, for example, Alfred Pennyworth is basically the father figure to Bruce that he lost when his father and his mother passed away. Now, when it comes to Batman, the animated series, which is now 30 years old, so I'm old, but I absolutely still love that series. It's part of the DC animated universe. In fact, it's what kicked off the animated universe, because then you had Superman, you had Batman Beyond, you had Justice Leagues, and there's some great stories and character development throughout all those shows. So it's hard just to specifically say one story, one game, one movie, one comic, because I feel like they're all like pieces of a jigsaw puzzle combined together. They give us a much broader vision of what Batman Bruce Wayne is all about. A man who's trying to make his parents proud, who had to deal with that tragic loss, as most of you know Batman's story. And he's also got a father figure in Alfred Pennyworth, as well as Commissioner Gordon to some extent. And he ends up building his own family, you know, with Dick Grayson, as well as Tim Drake, eventually Jason Todd, Barbara Gordon, and Lucius Fox, and a few others here and there, like Selena Kyle, for example, that end up making the larger part of the Bat family. So yeah, he lost his family, but along the way, Batman does build a new family of fellow crime fighters that all have the same desire for justice and to protect the people from villains and criminals out there that are trying to bring down society. And in their own way, you know, Batman is trying to make the world, at least Gotham, a better place. And he does use fear tactics in order to accomplish those goals. But he also believes in trying to save people, even sometimes those that aren't really worthy of being saved, like, for example, the Joker. And that's something that was tackled in Batman Under the Red Hood, where, you know, there was an opportunity for Joker to be killed, but Batman has his one rule, to not kill. And I realize that Batman has killed in other variations of comics, Flashpoint, Elseworld, etc. But I guess you could say the prime Batman, the core of Batman's philosophy is he is a true hero. He is a true champion of justice, and he is there to serve law. He does not want to be judge, jury, and executioner, even though killing these villains would be so much damn easier, as he would say in Batman Under the Red Hood. But at the end of the day, where would it stop? If he killed Joker, then who else could he kill? Could he go ahead and just kill Two-Face, Penguin, Riddler? The list goes on and on. At what point does Batman go from being a hero to a villain? Of course, once again, I'm borrowing from The Dark Knight, and Batman wants to be a hero. He does not want to see himself become the villain. And the other thing I like about Batman that is another character trait is the fact that he doesn't give up, and he uses his vast resources and money in order to try and help people. Even though he does come across with his playboy persona of Bruce Wayne, that's just the mask. Just like it's stated at the end of Batman Begins, his real face is the face of the Batman, and that's what he refers to himself as. He doesn't refer to himself as Bruce, but Batman once he puts on the cape and cowl. Thanks for the question, Kane. As we move on to the next, from Dark Matter Wolf, do you have any tattoos? My answer is no. I have nothing against anyone that have tattoos or piercings, even if I think that some people have gone a little overboard with piercings and tattoos, but it's your body, you do you. I have no tats on me. I have no piercings. I've just never had any desire for either one. And I guess my issue is I have yet to have a reason to have some permanent ink put on my flesh. Maybe one day I'll have a reason. All too often you'll have people put their boyfriend, their girlfriend, their partner's name on their body, and they end up breaking up eventually. So what's the point? Or they get an edgy tattoo when they're younger, and then they have a little bit of remorse years later, so they have to either like get it lasered off or come up with some sort of way to cover it up. I just don't really have any desire for a tattoo at this point. Next, let's go to Dustin D. Question for 15K. Why did Rockstar feel the need to hold back Red Dead Online over the year only to stop supporting, let's see, Red Dead Online content while they had at the same time fixing certain game-breaking bugs in GTA Online? I cannot answer this question properly, Dustin D, because I do not work for Rockstar Games. All we can do is speculate as to why Rockstar has chosen to abandon Red Dead Online. And while they seem to focus more on GTA Online, they don't exactly do the best job when it comes to fixing various bugs and issues and glitches that are still in all versions of GTA Online. I think that a lot of it comes down to the crappy peer-to-peer servers instead of dedicated servers. I've talked about that quite a few times. And when it comes to Red Dead Online, I think a lot of us Red Dead Online fans would have loved for Rockstar to continue making content for it. And I think that it could have been successful in its own right as well as profitable. Nowhere near as big as GTA Online, but Rockstar just had a very bad vision for Red Dead Online, and they just weren't committed enough to continue with updating Red Dead Online, except for these, I guess, smaller updates. Whether or not we get smaller updates remains to be seen. I have my doubts. I mean, especially after title update 1.31. I just don't see them bothering with any future updates because that takes time. Anytime a company puts out an update for its games, I think they actually have to like cut a check to Sony and Microsoft in order to put that update up. I think it was, what, $50,000 last time I looked into it. It could be more now. I don't know exactly if there's like a limit. Like as long as it's under this amount, you don't have to pay us, or it just costs less for smaller title updates. But it does cost a few bucks to simply put out title update 1.31 for Red Dead Online for Sony and Microsoft, unless they're allotted like at least one free update a year. Maybe that's the case. Honestly, I don't know. But it's unfortunate what's become of Red Dead Online, and I wish Rockstar would do a better job supporting both of their online games. But perhaps Rockstar is just better off at single-player games. So I am kind of looking forward to the next GTA, even without Dan Houser on board. But they're just not the best at continuing to properly update and support live service games. And you think with GTA Online, which is their huge cash cow, they would do a much better job than they currently are. ESP, my question is, if you were in charge of Rockstar of unlimited resources, what game or games would you expand upon and why? So I have an In Charge series on my playlist over on the channel. We got Red Dead Online, Red Dead Redemption Remaster, GTA 4 Remaster, Bully Remaster if I was in charge. But let's just talk about, I guess, Rockstar in general. If I was in charge, unlimited resources, I think I would do a better job of having different studios do different things. I would have the main studios focusing on the new GTA, and I would have a smaller studio focused on smaller IPs, like a new Bully game, and then I would have an internal studio dedicated to doing remakes or remasters to beloved previous games, like, for example, GTA 4, Red Dead Redemption 1, Bully. But I would also like to revisit some previous IPs and eventually come out with a sequel to Bully, for example. That would be cool. It doesn't have to be a big game. I prefer quality over quantity in that regard. And I would also see if we could come up with a new exciting IP to put out there as well, instead of just relying on GTA over and over and over again. And obviously, as I was in charge, I would petition Take-Two to get GTA and Red Dead moved over to dedicated servers, which are much better than the peer-to-peer system that we were just talking about a moment ago. For one thing, it's a lot more secure for the players, it's a lot more stable, and you could actually fix a lot of issues that GTA Online and Red Dead Online have with dedicated servers as opposed to peer-to-peer. And when it comes to a PS5, Xbox Series version of Red Dead Redemption 2, I would, for PR purposes, just put out a free 60 FPS upgrade with Performance RT as a thank you to everybody that purchased Red Dead Redemption 2 for PS4, Xbox One. They're now currently playing it on PS5, Xbox Series. Fat Chinese Gaming, many congratulations for 15K subscribers. My question is, do you remember your first ever video games you ever played? I have some loose memories of playing on my papa's in television back when I was younger. He used to love to play the biplanes as well as the racing games and the various sports games on in television. So I used to play those with my papa. I guess that's what kind of got me into gaming. And then my dad and stepmother at the time got me and my stepsister a NES on our little black and white TV. And we played the original Super Mario, as well as Duck Hunt, Legend of Zelda, and a few other games as well. Next, we go to Gregor 2. If Tommy Angelo knew what will happen and had a second chance, would he change the whole story? Well, yeah, a lot of bad things ultimately happened to Tommy Angelo in Mafia, whether it's the original Mafia, which I'm playing through on the channel. And by the way, episode 5, the finale, will be hopefully coming up on Sunday, September 18th, 12 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. UK, FYI. But his story is pretty much the same from the original Mafia to Mafia Definitive Edition, which, by the way, has a 2-year anniversary coming up later this month, so that's pretty cool. If we were to rewind to the beginning of Mafia, doesn't matter which game, where Tommy Angelo is just a humble cabbie, right? And he knew that if he had his cab car at this one spot in Lost Heaven, that these two gangsters would show up and he'd have to drive them to safety to Salieri's bar, and that ultimately would lead to him becoming a made man in the Salieri crime family, and then ultimately falling in love with Sarah, and then turning on that crime family in order to save himself and his family. Even though it ultimately doesn't end well for Tommy at the end of his life, I think that Tommy Angelo is the kind of man that would probably not change a damn thing, because of the fact that you change one thing, it completely changes him as a character. There's a few mistakes that are made by Tommy that ultimately leads to Don Salieri turning on Tommy Angelo. But if he did those things correctly, yeah, he probably would still be in the Salieri crime family, but he would not be the same person. Without going into spoilers, those of you that have played the Mafia franchise probably know what I'm talking about. About a year ago, I put out this video, Mafia, Tommy Angelo, What If? And I don't remember exactly what I went over in this video, but it's pretty interesting, this what if scenarios that I presented and how it would play out. So if you're more interested in my thoughts, my speculation, theorizing about a what-if scenario surrounding Tommy Angelo and Mafia, feel free and check out the video. Killbot, favorite music genre? I guess rock would probably be my favorite. A little bit from the 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s rock. But I like all kinds of music. I like 80s, 90s hits, as well as a little bit of old school hip hop. Some older country western like Johnny Cash, for example. I also like a bit of jazz, classical music, soundtracks, whether it's a video game, TV show, movies, soundtracks and scores. Oh, I also happen to like new wave. So I think that's pretty much everything I like when it comes to music. I have a wide palette of taste when it comes to music because I love to often sit here running around gaming whenever I'm just driving or flying around in a game, just jamming to some tunes, especially when I have my mind on a few things. It's just nice to go back and listen to some of my favorite songs, whether it's from the 70s, the 80s, 90s, or something a little bit older from classical or jazz period. Miracle, you can choose 10 land vehicles from GTA Online to be fully functional and replicated into the real world. However, you can't sell any of them for profit, and you can only choose non-weaponized, non-special type, otherwise road legal vehicles. In this hypothetical scenario, you can get a free 10-car garage with these. So which 10 do you pick? Not in any particular order, just what you'd want based off design, performance, or utility. So do I have to pay taxes or gasoline for any of these Miracle? You said that it would have to be real. So at the very least, you would have to have upkeep, right? Maintenance, make sure that the fuel's good. I got plenty of gas in the tank, and oil changes and state inspections on a regular basis whenever that time comes. So I guess 10 vehicles from GTA Online. I don't know if I'll be able to name 10 off the top of my head, but let's go ahead and do it, shall we? We'll go with the original Dominator. I'll probably put a few Dominators into this one. I do like the Dominator, aka the Mustang. So yeah, the Dominator OG, as well as, let's see, we'll put the Gauntlet in there because I do like me some muscle cars. I'll go with the Zentorno, Buffalo STX. I've grown to be quite fond of that car. I would get the Dominator ASP and let Riley have it because she loves that design of the Ford Mustang. The T20, I don't think I mentioned the T20. I mentioned the Zentorno, but not the T20. Love the look of the T20. Turismo Classic, because I love that car. The Vaca, yeah, I like that older Lamborghini design, so I'll put the Vaca in there. Then I'd either put an Ubermax Sentinel XS or maybe the Zion, one or the other, because I do like Beamers in real life, so I'd probably go with either a Sentinel XS, with the retractable roof that looks pretty sweet, or just a Zion. Okay, let's just go with the Sentinel XS. We'll do that. And let's go with a new vehicle, the Vigero ZX. I like the Vigero ZX. I think a lot of people really do, especially the HSW variant. So that's going to be the version I'm going to have in my garage. I think that's 10 vehicles, Miracle. Cool question. Let's move on to the next one, shall we? So, Dan, way to go on 15K. What is your biggest gaming disappointments? You've been playing games for a long time, and like a lot of different genres and franchises, so which ones didn't live up to your expectations? Maybe a game that outright was terrible, or maybe a game that was okay, but didn't live up to what came before it. Perhaps a game that's overstayed its welcome, or it's been killed off too soon. I guess I could just go with my most recent disappointment, and then we could just move on. Obviously, Saints Row. I think that we were all concerned about the Saints Row reboot when it was first announced over a year ago. I was worried that it would just be Saints Row in name only. In my opinion, I think that it tries to be Saints Row, but it's not Saints Row enough. It's too PC. It plays it too safe at times. Yeah, they throw out a whole bunch of cuss words, but it still doesn't feel like a Saints Row game. That game obviously needed more time in the oven. I know I did a rant video about it, and I'm not the only one that feels this way. There's a lot of cringe in the game, and Riley even played through it. I kind of bounced after 4 hours, and when I watched her play through it over on her channel, there was part of me that was having a little bit of regret because there are some decent missions in Saints Row, but there's a lot of cringe, and there's a lot of horrible missions as well, especially near the end of the game. I feel like it's very underwhelming and a disappointment, and it could have been way better. And I think that this was a great opportunity for Volition to relaunch the Saints Row franchise, to give GTA a run for its money. Maybe it would never take the crown from GTA, but it had an opportunity here with this window between GTA 5, which was, what, nearly 9 years ago at this point. Coming up on Saturday will be the 9-year anniversary of GTA 5, to GTA 6, which may not be out for another 2 or 3 years, to put out a pretty solid Saints Row reboot. I understand why we have a Saints Row reboot because of what happens in Saints Row 4. Kind of forced them to go back to the drawing board. But as my friend Professional and a few others have pointed out, this is not the Saints Row game that we were looking forward to or expecting. The humor is fine. I mean, there's always been humor in Saints Row games to, various extents, from Saints Row 1 and 2 all the way to what happens in Saints Row the Third, which was the first Saints Row game I played. But for, I guess, college students that have to pay rent and student loan debt, that are enjoying waffles and mimosas and having a low-res cat and talking about going to karaoke all the time and hells yeah, as well as LARPing, it just doesn't work for me. And I don't think it works for most Saints Row fans, are fans of open world crime games like GTA. And this game was definitely rushed out the door. It needed at least another 6 months to 12 months to flesh out and hammer out all the remaining bugs that the game currently has. But even if they release this game without any bugs or issues, you'd still have the characters, you'd still have the story, and it's just weak sauce, in my opinion. And so that's been my biggest disappointment for 2022. Despite the fact I'm a huge GTA fan, I also believe in competition, and I want there to be a game that gives GTA a run for its money. For example, the Saints Row franchise. And unfortunately, I feel like in time, this might be the final nail in the coffin for Saints Row. Next, we go to Snake. So, what games defied your way to YouTube stardom? For one thing, I don't claim to have YouTube stardom, Snake. I only have 15,000 subscribers. And over the past, 8 years, I have reached almost 5 million lifetime views on the channel. And I'm grateful for all my subscribers and viewers and fans and friends I've made over the past 8 years, as well as my fiance. But I am far from a YouTube star, and I probably never will be. But I'm quite content with how far I've come and the friends and loyal viewers that I have made throughout the way. But obviously, the game that defined the channel was GTA Online. That is the reason why I ultimately launched my gaming channel, despite being passionate about video games since I was a kid, as well as a radio background and other YouTube channels I've had prior to this channel. I would say that my desire to play GTA Online and noticing other creators with their own GTA Online channels and content, which ultimately drove me to making this channel over 8 years ago. Obviously, I've played other stuff and covered other games on the channel besides GTA Online, but at its core, the channel started off as a GTA Online channel, which is why we'll continue to cover GTA Online here and there. But I do like to try and branch out and do other things, from Watch Dogs in the past to the Mafia franchise to Red Dead and whatever other games come out down the road that happen to pique my interest. Thanks for the questions, Snake, and everyone else that have submitted questions. Next, let's go to the Gaming Jew. Congratulations. My question is, what is your greatest achievement, both personally and professionally? I guess, first off, managing to get my act together in my teens and graduate high school, barely, at the bottom of my class. I kind of didn't do my best in high school. I had some issues in high school, and I didn't do the best in some classes, and I failed a few of them until, I would say, my junior year, when I decided to get my act together and turn things around and pass the classes I was failing, even if I barely passed those classes, and get enough credits in order to graduate from high school, walk across the stage, get my diploma, and move out of my small little town in East Texas, which I never really considered to be my town. Yes, I made friends in that town. I had some good memories in that town, but I never really considered myself from that town. I always saw myself as an outsider, and I just wanted to get out, and that was really the motivating factor for me to finally graduate from high school. And then ultimately I would end up interning through college to get in radio for a few years. So that was fun, being in radio. I thought that I would make a lifelong career out of radio, but unfortunately, due to corporatization, deregulation by the Clinton administration, as well as automation, the amount of opportunities in the radio industry has shrunk considerably with each passing year. And I got in near the very end of all this, And yeah, there are still people around that work in radio, but that number is way smaller than it once was. So I guess I could say being in radio for 5 years, from being an overnight DJ and a part-timer to eventually, doing nights as well as middays, which is during the daytime, and being a music director because I also wanted to go into programming in the radio industry, from music director to hopefully eventually an assistant program director to a program director to maybe even an operations manager or GM one day. I did make some really good friends while on radio. I learned a lot, and a lot of the skills I have today are because of my years in radio. I also eventually got my degree. It took me a while to, get my classes taken care of over a span of several years in order to get my degree, but I finally got a degree, so that's an accomplishment. I don't really consider my failed small businesses to be an accomplishment, but live and learn, as they say. I have a fiance now. We've been together for over a year, and we were obviously friends prior to living together. And even a year before that, we were in a long-distance relationship throughout the pandemic. And so she still loves me. I still love her. We're still happy. So I guess that's an accomplishment as well. I'm working out more. I'm trying to eat healthy. I'm trying to lose weight despite some other issues. And I'm still alive. So that is also an accomplishment. Every day we wake up and we're here another day is an accomplishment in itself. In other words, it's important to consider the small victories in life. Hopefully my greatest accomplishments and achievements have yet to come, professionally or personally, but we'll just have to wait and see. Next, let's go to Trio, aka The Specialist. Well-deserved, GB. Well done. My question: what is one big thing you would like to achieve in the future 5 or so years? I would like to officially have, lost the weight, be healthier than I currently am, which I'm working on, as I was talking about a moment ago. I would eventually like to find some sort of success and meaning and purpose in life, which is something I have tried to do for the longest time. Whether that success is found on YouTube or somewhere else entirely remains to be seen. But I hope that 5 years from now, I'm A, still here, B, my fiance is still here, and she and I are perhaps even married by then, and maybe we're living somewhere else. I mean, where I live right now, it's okay. It's just that I think we both thought about different places we may want to consider moving to within the next few years, but that's also up in the air. I mean, we may end up staying here, or we may end up living closer to my sisters in Central Texas, or we may move up into Wyoming, Dakota, or somewhere else entirely. But hopefully I'll still be here in 5 years plus from now, along with my fiance, and maybe finally find some sort of success between now and then. And finally, we come to Mr. UG Outlaw. First off, congrats on 15K. No one deserves it more than you. My question is, what is your favorite online multiplayer experience that made you smile or laugh? Well, anytime we have like issues or bugs in GTA Online or Red Dead Online, it all too often makes me laugh because of how ridiculous these issues are, especially when it comes to these multi-billion-dollar studios like Rockstar Games putting their AAA games on, the peer-to-peer crap servers as opposed to dedicated servers, and all the issues that happen when you're playing these various games. They definitely make me laugh my ass off at times, even if there's times when I'm frustrated because you're trying to do a sale in GTA or Red Dead and some sort of game issue screws you over. And I guess it's just the experiences I've had with people. It's not really necessarily the game itself, whether it's Red Dead Online, GTA Online, or some other multiplayer online game, like, for example, Fortnite. We've had some great moments together just hanging out in voice chat or party chat with me and friends, and even during live streams, interacting with viewers and subscribers when, they are, talking about things in the live chat and I'm interacting with them. And some interesting conversations have transpired over the past several years. All too often makes me laugh and sometimes puts a smile on my face. So there's a lot of examples and moments playing online games that have definitely made me laugh and, put a smile or two up here on my old mug. But that's once again a big thanks to all of you, my amazing viewers, subscribers, fans, friends, mods, heroes, and members for supporting the channel. And once again, a big thank you to all of you, my amazing subscribers. Over the years, you have helped the channel grow from 0 subscribers to now 15K plus subscribers. And even if we never reach 20K subscribers, I'm grateful to all of you for your support when it comes to the channel and your friendship and taking the time out of your lives to watch my content as well as my live streams, as well as the friends that I've made over the years because of this channel. And of course, not to mention Riley, my fiance. Would have never met her if it wasn't for this channel. I might never reach YouTube stardom. I don't know why Snake thinks I've reached YouTube stardom. I think I have a long ways to go in that department. I'm grateful for what I have when it comes to all of you, my amazing viewers and subscribers and friends. And thanks again to everyone that submitted a question for Q&A 15K. The next Q&A will be whenever I eventually reach 20K. If that happens somewhere down the road, we'll do this again and celebrate 20,000 subscribers sooner, most likely later. And then you'll have an opportunity to submit a question for Q&A 20K eventually. Now I want to know what brought you to the channel. Was it a rant video, a thought, idea video, or some other video I've made over the years? Was it one of my live streams? What game was it? And let me know why you have subscribed to the channel. Feel free and let me know below in the comments section.